Hello, saucers.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, what's up?
Hey, what's up? How's it going? Do you live alone?
What do you guys do?
Speaking of which,
Oh,
my God,
transition.
that's so weird. Today's episode is about roommates.
Hey, what's up? You live alone? Wow, crazy. Do you want to talk about
Listen, let's just cut right to it.
I like it. We're getting down to the point. We recently had, I think like this topic has been on our list since literally our original list of topics when during the conception of SOS. But we were at my birthday dinner last week and we got into the conversation about roommates and wild stories.
Everybody at the table had appalling stories.
And we were just like, oh, we got to talk about this. We definitely have to talk about this because it's just so funny. And I feel like everybody has to have a level of this, or you just know a really good story or whatever.
It's just like when I started thinking about it, I mean, I chose two on here to talk about, but I really have a lot. Like I really was remembering a bunch of shit that I was like, I forgot about that girl. And then when I remembered the details, I was like, that's some fucked up shit. And it didn't even make my list. Like, oh my God, like people are messed up. We knew that because we worked in customer service, but living with people is like a whole other.
Yeah. And we're going to change names.
Mine are you not just because it doesn't matter. They're not in my life. They don't. I respect.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't even know who these people anymore,
but whatever. So let's just get into it, right? Let's get into some weird stories. So, for me, I remember my first roommate. Well, I had a bunch of roommates because this is college. And I lived in like a suite. So it's like adjoining rooms. And it was so funny because my particular room, my two roommates, one of them I'm still really close with to this day, Nicole. And this other girl, we'll call her Rachel. Who lived, sweet girl, really sweet girl, but they're the total opposites, right? Like Nicole is just like fun party girl, woo, like in your face. Yeah. And Rachel was a very like quiet, studious. Yeah. I think she played like the cello or no, tuba.
Oh, very different from the cello.
A big ass instrument that took up all of our closet space. And she's like very off too. Shout out to her, love her. But this story is wild. So she, so they never kind of got along. So it's kind of always in the middle. But like whatever, we made it work for the year. But there was just like really funny things that happened, and it was just like that room was just we had all the parties in our room. Like we were the party central.
Yep.
And Rachel was like fine. Like that's one of the things too. It's like some people that are very quiet, like given the opportunity to party, they get smashed.
They're unhinged.
Yeah. And that's what happened. But like respect. But there was one moment where she had a guy over which wasn't, I don't think common, you know what I mean? Like I think Nicole had hers and I had a boyfriend at the time. So it's like, we're like, okay, you know, when you need the room, you need the room. And she needed the room. So it's like, we like let her have her space. Yeah. Cause it was a fucking triple. And eventually I needed to get in there to get something. And I was with my friend, Evan. And, was it Evan or Timmy? I can't remember. Evan or Timmy. Yeah. And we go in, we were like, sorry, I think you like get something. And I think what it was, like the guy had left. The guy that she was with, that Rachel was with. And she's on like a loft bed, and we're going in there to grab something, and she's like, hey, we're like, hey. And as we're like passing by like the middle of the room to get to my bed or whatever I'm trying to get, we see something on the ground, and we're like, what the fuck is that? And then we like, we realize what it is, and we're like, oh my God. And then we just get our stuff and we're like, bye. And we close the door, and we're like, it was a used condom with brown all over it.
What? What?
Shit all over it.
First I was like, oh, she's on her period. No, you mean actually brown.
It was shit.
We
think it was shit.
Did it smell? Could you smell anything?
I wasn't in there long enough to find out.
I feel like that would smell it pretty instantly.
That's true. I don't remember. but it was in the middle of the room. Like,
She just left.
like, right.
Wow. Wow.
So that was always really fun. I mean,
Yeah.
like, there were so many stories with the dynamic between the two of them and like how wild they both were, but at like different unexpected times. But that
That's
was just one that
hilarious.
really,
Oof.
really just,
Ugh.
I'll tell you more off camera. There's so many funny ones, but that one I just felt like that was just so funny. We're
That
just
is
like,
like,
holy,
bye.
yeah,
I gotta go.
yeah, yeah.
My first one was also my very first roommate ever in college. Um, this girl, so I go into college thinking like, oh, fun, I'm gonna have a roommate and we'll probably, you want to hopefully be friends with them. So this girl was like, came from boarding school in Connecticut, was like super bougie. And I went to a private college. So I was like I was one of like maybe 4 people I knew that were on financial aid and had to work during college, like
Mm,
work study jobs and did not come from money.
yeah.
So she wasn't out of the norm from students there. But this girl was so bitchy. Thank God she dropped out after the first quarter. We were on quarter system. So like by Christmas, like after Christmas, she was gone. But she, so I started like I remember I made real efforts. Like I remember I had 8 a.m. class every day before she got up and stuff. So I remember putting little post-its on her desk that was like, have a good day, like
Mm,
cute little whatever, like, and she never addressed them. I did it like for the first week or two of classes and then I just stopped because I was like, okay, maybe this is weird. And I would run into her on campus and she was always on her bike. And when we passed each other, I just wave, smile, wave, and say hi. And she would look at me like she didn't even know me and just keep going. And I was like, what? I wasn't trying to stop and talk. I
okay.
was just waving, like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
no recognition, nothing. And I was like, this is
Cool, cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. So then there were like a lot of little things that built up. I went through Rush for sororities and I ended up joining a sorority and she didn't go through. And during the whole Rush process, it's like a whole thing, on
Like
campus.
she
And
didn't, she wasn't
oh,
accepted.
no, she didn't
Oh, she
go
didn't
through
want,
Rush
yeah,
at
yeah.
all. So I was going through that process. So I had like these like events I had to go to or
Yeah, yeah,
meetings
yeah.
or whatever.
I rushed.
Yeah. Yep. Doesn't seem like me, but I did it. And so I came back to my room one time and she would have friends over in our room studying. It was just the two of us, like a small room. And she would just make fun of me to my face. Like I remember we had a whiteboard outside of our door for fun, everyone did. And once I had made a sorority, like I made one and the girls come and surprise you and I don't know, they put stuff on your door.
Mm.
And I can't remember if this was before that or I think it was after because I had gotten in. And then like the following week, I came to my room and there was on the whiteboard, it was like, congratulations on pledging Ramalama Ding Dong or something. And I'm like, okay. So I walk in and she's sitting on the floor studying with her friend. And she was like, and it's a tiny room, like it's only the 3 of us. And she's like, oh my God, Sarah, aren't you so glad that we rushed the sorority? And like just blatantly mocking me. And and her friend Sarah sat there in silence. And after my roommate Rebecca, after Rebecca transferred, Sarah actually was like, I am so sorry for how rude she was to you. I don't know what happened. Like she came up to me afterwards. But so those were like the little things that were happening all the time. All completely, I've done nothing but leave this girl like good morning notes and wave to you on campus. But she had a boyfriend from back home that was coming to visit. And she told me like, so-and-so's coming next weekend. And so I was thinking about it. We're in our room one night. She's studying. I'm like organizing my closet or something. And I'm thinking, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to offer to like over the weekend to stay in Jordan's, Jordan,
Oh, yeah,
my
yeah.
astrologist that comes on the podcast. I was like, I'm going to offer to stay in Jordan's room one night to like give them the room. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a nice gesture. I'm like offering this. This is like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice of me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, we're not facing each other. She's at her desk and I'm facing in my closet doing stuff. And I was like, hey, when your boyfriend's here, I was thinking I would stay at Jordan's for the weekend. I think he was going to be here for like 5 days or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
or like a whole week. And I was like, during the weekend, I'll stay at Jordan's place to give you guys the room and like, some space. And it's like quiet. And she goes, oh, I was thinking you'd be out of the room the whole week. And I turned around and I was like,
The fact that you just expect, it's like one thing, like, why don't you just come to like she can
Oh,
come
yeah,
to you be
she
like,
said
hey, I'm
nothing.
so sorry. Like, is there any way?
Yeah, you didn't ask. You're just expecting. And also,
What a
I
bitch.
have 8 a.m. class 4 days a week.
Mm-mm.
And campus is a mile long. I walk a mile to the music
She's
school.
out. Goodbye.
Oh my God.
I would
I
have
turned around
fucking
and I
ripped
was
her hair
like,
out.
I didn't
I
do
would.
it, or I didn't say yes. I turned around and I was like, no, like this was my offer. This was a generous staying out for the whole weekend is like my offer. I live here. All of my belongings are here. I have 8 a.m. class 4 days a week. I no. And it caused a lot
Mm.
of tension and it was really weird. And it was just very awkward and tense. And she was just a bitch. And then
Yeah.
thank God she transferred after the first quarter. And I had one of my best friends move in with me. But yeah, that was wild. That was my first roommate experience ever.
What
Like,
a
what happened?
fucking bitch. Like, I don't understand the expectation. Like, she
Oh, the
hated you.
entitlement. The
Yeah, the
entitlement was
entitlement.
insane. And she hated me. And it wasn't even like we had any.
And she came for money, you
She came
said.
from money,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she actually didn't transfer. She dropped out of college. She was, like, very homesick, wanted to go back to her boyfriend from high school. Like, she just
You
went.
peak. She probably's on her fucking fifth kid.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
probably.
And she hates her life.
Shout out Becca. What up, bitch?
Yeah. What? She's like a fucking multimillionaire. Whatever. Great.
If she is, it's family money. It's old money.
Yeah. And she probably exploited a lot of people to get there. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah, it
that's,
was just ugly
oof.
behavior. It was entitled behavior, to an extreme though. And it's not like we were even on neutral ground. I had made outwardly like kind gestures just to be friends.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, you can't even acknowledge me when we pass each other on campus. Like, oh, hey, nothing.
Did you what did you do? Did you leave for the weekend?
On the weekend, I spent, I think that Friday and Saturday night at Jordan's, but I spent the other nights like in my room because I
And
was
was it
like,
awkward with the three of
super
you?
awkward, super awkward. But that was like also a statement from me of like,
Yeah, go
like
fuck yourself.
of course I would have preferred to be in Jordan's room during the week, but it wasn't
It's like, fuck you.
convenient.
This is my
Yeah,
this is my
and my
space.
class schedule was really hard
Rigid.
that quarter. Yeah, it was like
Mhm.
early mornings, and I just was like, no, I'm not doing this. But yeah, I knew she had told him shit about me, and they were very awkward. They were unkind, and we're in like the size of this room,
Yeah.
a dorm
Oh,
room,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm just like, I mean, I avoided the room at all costs, and like she put a little thing on the door but yeah, it's like you're stupid.
I can't stand that stuff. I can't stand it. Okay, so my next story, we'll change her name to Meredith. This was such a fucking interesting story. I maybe it's not. I don't know. But it was just like a weird moment. It just like was so weird. So this was like summer before my senior year, and I was planning on getting an apartment, not living on campus, and getting an apartment in the town of my college for the senior year, and yeah, not living on campus. So I ended up living with Al.
Oh,
But that summer, I was like, I didn't want to go back home. I wanted to stay in North Jersey, New York area to like start auditioning and get a job and like all that stuff, or just
prepare.
I didn't want to
life.
go back to South Jersey. I just was like, I want to like live my own life and start my own life. And this girl in the department, Meredith, really sweet, offered her place because she lives in New York and with her family. And she was like, you can stay with me and my family and it'll be great. And you don't have to pay rent. You don't have to do anything.
Wow.
Like we have an extra room. Like just, yeah, you can stay with us. And I was like, oh, okay. And it will only be until like half the summer because the second half of the summer I'll have my new place.
Like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, like 2 months, maybe a month and a half. So I was like, oh my God, are you sure? And I was literally like, no. I was just like, oh my God, that's a lot. Like, don't please. Like, I was so very much like, you do not have to. Just like, no. She was like insistent, right? And I was just like, well, okay, like, let me think about it. And like, I was like, well, this is really, I don't have to, but I'll obviously be like getting groceries and stuff like that and making myself. Yeah. Like I'm very much, I don't want to oversay welcome. I want to be
conscious guest.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, like I'm down. So I did. So like as soon as summer started, moved in, I had like a little, a suitcase and stuff, and they had like a guest room. And right off the bat, like, I mean, I was dirt broke. I mean, I had jobs during the school year too, but like I didn't have a lot to my name, especially to like live a New York life, New York City life. So I was like, all right, I hit the trails essentially. I had like, I think I applied to like a few jobs and I got them. I think I had like 2 or 3 jobs lined up. Right. But yeah, I think like when you first start, like there were like a lot of service industry jobs. And like one of them was so funny. One of them was like not a shot girl, but like I would go to places with alcohol and like
Promoter.
promoter. Thank you. That was a very sketchy job that I did. That was one of the many jobs that I had. I was like a hostess at one restaurant, and then I think I was also a hostess at like a hookah place. I had like all these jobs lined up. So got all these jobs. Right off the bat, I got like 3 jobs lined up, and like they all started at different places. But because I was new, I had like my schedule wasn't like packed with work yet. It was still like they were making my schedule in those first few days, right? And in those first few days, they were really sweet and like, oh my God, I was buying groceries. I wasn't even eating, but they would offer like, oh, you can have dinner with us. But I was just like, oh my God, are you sure? And I would go into the city, you know, to like hang out with friends, but a lot of my friends didn't live in the city yet. So they would only be there certain times. And I didn't have the money to keep going into the city. Like it's really expensive, the metro. And just like eating out. Like I really did not have any money yet. Like my jobs had just started. I had like nothing.
Yeah.
So like what I would do too is just kind of like stay in my guest room and like, you know, just, I don't know, just like
do your own thing.
Do my own thing. And like just keep out of their way. Things got weird. So I don't know what it was that happened. Like, I mean, there was like some like bickering between the family going on, but like I didn't see anything out of like they were just a normal family.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden in the middle of the night, we were like, because Meredith was also staying with me. It was like a bunk bed situation. In the guest room.
Oh, with you.
So we would have like, she wouldn't stay in her room. She would stay with me. And all of a sudden in the middle of the night, her mom comes in and is like, get out. Not get out. Sorry. I went to that place again and I sort of just blacked out. She didn't say get out, but she basically did. She was just like, I just didn't think it was going to be like this. And I didn't think you staying here was going to be like this.
What?
And like just in the middle of the night, just like
1
walks into the room.
Middle of the night?
Maybe midnight. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Like, yeah. And the lights were out. Like we were like basically falling asleep. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be like this. I didn't think that you being here was going to be like long term. Like you're just here a lot.
What?
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like my jobs aren't starting. I don't have the money. Like I was just like, I'm trying to stay out of your hair.
Right.
And she's like, I mean, it's been so long now. Like I can't remember exactly, but it was basically, she kept repeating,
you can't.
I thought the only light was coming from the hallway. So she was kind of like pacing back and forth.
Oh my God.
And she was just like, I just didn't think it was going to be like this. I just didn't think it was going to be like this. So I don't know what we're going to do. She wasn't like kicking me out, but she was just like, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do.
Basically saying, I wish you weren't here.
Yeah. And Meredith said nothing. You know what I mean? She was saying, she was just silent. And I was like,
what?
I don't know. And then we just went to sleep, right?
What?
The next day, like I think Meredith had another job, so she wasn't there in the morning. And her parent, I don't know. People weren't around, or they did. I just wasn't saying anything. So I just like, I called Alan Caddy, and they met me in the city. And that entire day, I was like, I need to get out of there. I just like felt so unwelcome.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't know what to do. And basically, I like talked to Ryan, because you know Ryan and I had been dating for a couple of years. I was like, Ryan, can I just like basically live together for the next couple months until I get my place? And he's like, yeah. I didn't want to intrude. Like I don't know.
You've been together for years though.
Yeah, but I also I could have, you know, I didn't want to like rely on living with Ryan. Because
but it's all a temporary situation anyway.
And I didn't have the money to contribute in rent to, and I wanted my own place, but I needed money to do that. So it's just like, Ryan, like I won't be able to like really contribute to rent.
Yeah.
And he had roommates, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in the next story. So he had to talk it over with his roommate. This is all happening in like hours the next day. Like within the daytime, I was like, I remember just like Alan Caddy like took me shopping. They were like, we'll make this better. And I was just so upset.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like Ryan calls me. He's like, yep, I talked over with my roommates. They love you. So like you can stay with us for the next month and a half. And then I didn't want to like even say goodbye.
Yeah.
So like I got home in the evening. I don't think Meredith was there, but her parents were, but I just felt so uncomfortable that I just like kind of tiptoed upstairs. I packed my bags, and Ryan had his roommate, one of his roommates and friends, come drive to New York in the middle of the night, because Ryan was living in Jersey. And I tiptoed with my bags and went out the back door
Wow.
and didn't say goodbye. I
Wow.
just felt
Yeah, I
so, I don't know, I
understand.
just felt so
Uncomfortable
unwelcomed
and
and
yeah.
uncomfortable. I was just like, "Fine, I'll make it easy for
That's
you."
so not okay. That's
Yeah.
such a,
It was very
her
weird,
mom
and it was
doing
and
that?
the fact that, like, Meredith was so insistent for me staying there,
Yeah.
I just felt
And the fact
like
that Meredith didn't even step in and say anything to you that night or
yeah,
even, like, after her mom walks out or the next day, like, what?
yeah, yeah.
So then did you ever hear from her or her
Yeah,
mom?
yeah, I mean, she went to my school. I pretended like nothing happened. Literally, she was like,
Wow.
"Hey." I think I even
Wow.
saw them at a show that we did. We were in together, and they were really sweet. Her parents came up to me like, "Hey, you were so good." They were
Oh
so sweet, and I was just like,
my
that was
god.
I think that was just like a Twilight
That's
Zone.
some fucking
I was
weird.
only there for 4 days.
Yeah, so it's not like you weren't doing something. You had all these jobs lined up and
And I
also
had to quit them.
and she knew, yeah, it was
Anyway,
agreed upon that it was half the summer. Anyway,
that was weird. That was weird.
that's
That was weird.
it's interesting. Cool, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna jump to senior year of college. We had a house like slightly off campus. It was there were 5 bedrooms, so it was
Mhm.
like my closest girlfriends, but 2 of them were gonna be living abroad for the first quarter. So we had like just 3 months where we had to fill those other 2 rooms.
Mm.
I don't know why we didn't get anyone we knew or anyone that even went to our school. We went to denverroommates.com.
Mhm.
Found these 2 guys, Sean and JD. They were friends, but they went to like I think they went to some like community college in Denver that was like downtown. They didn't even go here.
Go
You didn't even go here. And I don't know why we chose them. Who knows? But anyway, they moved in complete. They were our age, but they were just like strangers and
Mhm.
didn't even go here. And so right from the start, it was like they were just a little weird, but we were like, whatever, it's 3 months. And also the 3 of us living there at the time had boyfriends. So we were like regularly, it wasn't just us with strangers. Like
Yeah.
my boyfriend Dylan was there a lot. Megan's husband now, James, was there a lot. So I don't know. We weren't too concerned. But
Mhm.
I came home one day. We hadn't moved everything in yet. And so my room was in the basement and Sean's bedroom was across the hall. And I came into my room and so I hadn't unloaded anything onto my bookshelves or anything. And there was just all this white powder on my bookshelf. And I was like, "Hey Sean, there's all this like piles of white powder on my bookshelf." And he was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I had to chop up some Xanny bars." Like to just like Xanax, selling Xanax, whatever. So I was like, okay. Also, he had a lot of flat surfaces in his room. So I was like,
Nope.
why
Your
are you in
bookshelf
my
had the
room?
vibes.
Why are you in my room? Let it go.
That's
Didn't
so
It's
weird.
so weird. And then we realized, I mean, he said that, and then we knew he was like selling drugs, but like Xanax and I don't know, he had like Molly or whatever. And one, my boyfriend Dylan at the time told me later, he's like, "Yeah, one time I came to your house and I opened the door and there was a large gallon-sized Ziploc just filled with white powder right on the coffee table. Like your door
Gallon?
gallon size." And he's like, your door to your house wasn't even locked because he walked right in. It's not and he's like, "Yeah, I just walked in. There's this bag of white powder on the coffee table." And Sean and JD and their friends are kind of sitting around. We're like, "Okay." And I went to some rave with Dylan, some like 16-hour concert and party, and it was the one and only time I did anything besides drinking or
Mhm.
alcohol. I just did Molly, but I remember we were like wandering around the crowd. All of a sudden, Sean, my roommate, shows up, and Dylan's like, "Yeah, Sean has Molly," and we're like, "Oh, okay." So I
Yeah.
like did some Molly that Sean provided. I didn't know Sean was going to be at this party. I'm like, "Oh, you're my roommate." He's like a full on just drug dealer, just peddling to all these like raves and shit.
Mhm.
So we knew that, I guess, but whatever. JD also had a Ouija board that he and his friends had found in an abandoned barn in Nebraska. And it was made of wood and the back there was wood burned into it. It just said the secrets, like wood burned into it. So for Halloween, I told this story on one of our episodes in our like paranormal, the
Yeah, yeah,
Sixth Sense
yeah,
one.
yeah.
We did a group of us did the Ouija board on Halloween. And JD was like, "You guys can use it, but you can't be in the house with it." Like whatever I don't know why he kept it, but he knew
Yeah.
that the shit was real and he was like, "Do it in the garage. You're not doing it in the house." So anyway, they were just weirdos. Okay. So
Yeah, yeah.
we leave because we're on a quarter system, we would go home before Thanksgiving and we wouldn't come back till after New Year. So we had like
Mhm.
6 weeks. But during that time, Sean and JD were the only ones that were going to be in the house. And then they were going to move out after that. But mid-November through December, they were going to
Mhm.
be there alone. And so, we go through the holidays and it's New Year's. So about a week before we're supposed to go back to school, I'm in Steamboat with my boyfriend and his family for New Year's Eve. I get a call from one of my roommates, one of my girlfriends that is like, she had just gotten to the house. I guess she got back to Denver a little bit early and she was like, nobody's here. They're gone. All their stuff is gone and they didn't pay December's rent. And like none of us had been in the house for like a month and a month and a half. And we were like, what? What do you mean? We try to call them. Neither of them are answering their phones. They just booked it. They just ditched. They left. They took my Aladdin DVD, which still pisses me
I
off.
get it.
Sean stole that. I think one of my roommates like had a big poster of like a wolf and that was missing. And like
This
and like
tracks. Everything tracks.
yeah, and like some coffee table book on space. Like, I mean,
Hell
we were the
yeah.
cool house, okay?
Yeah.
But all of that was missing. They stole it.
I love the combination of those three
yeah,
things.
a wolf poster, a space coffee table book,
And
and an
Aladdin's.
Aladdin DVD.
Men of
Uh,
culture, I think.
yes, of course. And so that was all gone, and they weren't answering their phones or anything. So we're stuck with the three of us are stuck with the remainder of December's rent.
So
The
bad.
house the house was like, oh my God, it was disturbing. So we get home and we notice the stuff that's missing. And for the next couple months, we had people showing up. Obviously, they were drug dealers. So we had people showing up like, "Hey, is Sean here?" Just showing up to our house like regularly, looking for Sean, mainly Sean, and JD was maybe an accessory.
Mhm.
But finally, JD was the one that we were like, if either of them are gonna ever answer the phone again, it's gonna be JD. He's like, he maybe has a little conscience. And finally, one day in the winter, I think this was like January or February, we try JD again and he answers. We put him on speakerphone and it's like snowy out and he answers the phone and we were just like, JD, what in the actual fuck? Like you guys you just left like and it's been months and you didn't pay and you didn't say anything and he gives us this really disjointed sob story. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm out like on the road. Someone's driving me to the next rest stop and we stopped at a diner and I have my phone isn't charged. I don't even have a charge on my phone and it's really cold. I don't even have a coat. I'm just out here in the snow by myself. Like it was this very bizarre, like acting like stranded
He's
in the
on
wilderness.
something.
And then I'm like, if this is why'd you even answer the phone? If this is what
Yeah.
you're going for, like we still laugh. I mean, that was like I don't know, like 10 years ago. And my girlfriends and I are like, remember Sean and JD? Remember calling JD? And he's like, it's so cold and I'm just out here and my phone doesn't have a charge. And we're like, what is happening?
You're like,
So weird.
okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, just don't answer the phone, dude. So that was weird. That was bizarre. Yeah.
That is so funny. That is so funny. I love that story. We heard that at dinner.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Okay. So the next one is going to be a story that I'm going to tell on Ryan's behalf that he told that was a really fun one that I remember because this is when we first started dating. Ryan had moved into this apartment in Jersey right after he graduated college, and I still had my senior year remaining, so I was still around. And he needed this is right when we started dating. Oh my God. Here. And yeah, he had found after like a few like apartments like just kind of falling through in different ways, he finally found this one apartment with 3 people. So there was this one guy named Kelly, guy named Ricky Bobby. I shit you not,
That
Ricky
is
Bobby.
hilarious.
And then we'll name the other one. We'll name her Cindy.
Okay.
So Cindy, Ricky Bobby, and Kelly.
Ricky
And
Bobby.
it was like a 2-story apartment. Like it was like an attic because it's in a house. So there was like an attic area where like when you get up to the attic, there's like a public, like a communal living space, but it has a bedroom.
Oh yeah.
With a door, separate from that. And that's where Cindy lived. And everybody else is on the bottom or on the first floor. Or second, whatever. So It was, we really got along with Kelly and Ricky Bobby. They're really funny, really sweet guys. Everybody's a character in their own
Mhm.
right. But Cindy was a little oddball, I'll say. So Cindy would um, keep to herself a lot,
Mhm.
and didn't really mingle, which is fine. Do your own thing. I know soon they start, because I think Cindy moved in around the same time Ryan did,
Mhm.
or maybe like right after, I want to say. Can't remember. But anyway, they started missing, things started coming up missing.
Oh.
And they were like, yeah, these like different utensils or
Mm.
plates or stuff around the apartment just started to go missing. And they just didn't know, like maybe they broke
Yeah.
and like maybe someone forgot to say that and like they threw it out.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just like, I get whatever, chalk it up. And they would ask, Cindy if she knew anything about it. And she'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know, whatever. Other weird things were happening too. Like there would be guys like knocking on their door or ringing their doorbell. They're like, hi. They're like, hey, we're here for Cindy. And they're like, okay, yeah, yeah, she's upstairs. I'm like, cool, cool. And they go up and it'll be a different guy all the time. And it's
Mhm.
like, all right, do your own thing. You know,
Yeah.
like shame.
Been
Um,
there.
but yeah, but it was kind of like there were so many different guys at different
Yeah, yeah,
times. It seemed
yeah.
like there might have been maybe an arrangement, or maybe they were
Mm.
just her callers.
Right.
A lot of men were
Callers.
calling on her. Um, yeah, and things started getting to a head where she stopped paying rent
Oh.
and it was just getting bad. So they were just like, look, you got to go. You're not paying rent. You're just like, things are weird. Like, you just got to go.
Yeah.
And she was like, fine, I'll leave. So, and Ryan's friend, the one that ended up picking me up from
Oh.
the house,
Yeah.
he was going to take her place. They had someone who was like ready to go and he was going to pay rent. Yeah. So she was like, whatever. So she was, and no one's ever been in her room before. Like
Mm.
Ryan remembers being in the communal space in the attic, like playing music with his
Yeah.
friend or just hanging out. And every time she would like get out of her room, she'd basically like squeeze through and like shut it really fast so you
Oh,
can't see
okay, yeah.
behind her in her
Mhm.
room. So there's a lot of mystery about her room and what
Yeah.
was going on in there. So she packed up her stuff. She got her brother there. She packed up all her stuff and left. And that was it. And so they're like, all right, well, we got to like, let's get the room ready
Yeah.
for Russ to come in. And they're like, also just like, let's see her room.
Right.
And they get to her room and they open the door. And the smell hits them right in the fucking face.
Mm.
And it is a fucking pigsty. The mattress is still there with plastic wrapped around it and urine and shit stains
What?
all over it. You're,
What?
so basically, what they assume happened with Cindy is that maybe she was paying men to like piss on her,
She was paying them?
or she was getting paid,
I'm like,
or actually, who knows?
yeah, who knows really? But she was, yeah.
There was some shit
Was
going
it
on, literally.
a red light?
I forget.
I thought there was like something where there was like a red light outside the house and the landlord got mad at them for having.
Oh my God, I don't remember that. We'll ask Brian
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
maybe because I remember being like, whoa, so the red light was real.
Oh my God, I
Did
don't
I make
remember
that
that.
up?
No, you might be
We
right.
told a lot of roommate stories, but I thought we'll have to ask.
Maybe
him.
out of her room or something. Oh, I don't remember that.
Okay.
You could be right though.
Check.
That's funny. But they also, in their investigation of this apartment, they found all the missing utensils and plates with food that was molded. There was insects everywhere. We
Oh,
go into the bathroom.
God.
There was mold and grime and insects
Ew,
everywhere because
ew.
she had her own bathroom. I mean, there was no reason for her to like leave, basically,
Oh my
except for the food. And it was just the grossest.
Disgusting. She's just up there in like a pile of urine and shit and maggots and food and
Maggots
having
and
men come in
mold.
and out and
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah, everywhere, just old food
How
everywhere,
old
and
was-
left it up there.
Was she in
like
college
late?
too?
No, she was in her mid to late
Oh
30s.
God.
Yeah,
Oh.
she's like, yeah, she was like their age.
And she just left, packed her stuff and
Yeah,
left
Kelly and
the
Ricky Bobby were
mattress.
also older. They were all in their like mid to late 30s.
She just left everything like that and just moved out.
Yeah.
Wow. That is disturbing and disgusting.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah. People
Wow.
living with people is, I mean, oh my God,
The best.
the worst.
I also have like so many other fun stories, like where I live with people I loved, but like weird stuff
Yeah.
happened. And it's not
Oh,
just like, cause that's cool. It's like interesting to have roommate stories, but like when things are happening and you're experiencing it with all these
yeah,
different
yeah.
people. And
Uh-huh.
like me and Al have some really funny
Oh, I'm
stories
sure.
about like neighbors, happening to us when
Yeah.
we were, when we were roommates.
Yeah. I know. I do with Megan and Kelly too. Like there are so many weird, we
Yeah.
had mice. That college house we lived in was disgusting and infested with spiders, and we had mice and all that.
Yeah. Oh,
But oh my gosh, yeah, there are a lot of fun stories as well. But then when I really thought about it for this episode, I was remembering like my junior year, another roommate I had, not my friend Meg, if you're listening, Meg, it wasn't you. It was another girl that we lived with that was like a grad student. And before I even moved in, she called us each individually before we moved in and was like, I'm a grad student. You cannot stay out after this. You cannot come in after that. Gave us all these rules. And we're like, we're sharing an apartment and we're in
yeah.
college. You're not my mom. But like a bunch of weird things. People are crazy.
Yeah. Really crazy.
Yeah. And then people, like their dating lives, everything from that to like their eating habits, their cleanliness, of course. Like you're so intimately involved with these people
Mhm.
that you're not like selectively dating and choosing to move in with. It's
Yeah.
like you're just there for financial purposes, essentially.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's
yeah.
just like, okay, here we are. We share all these things. I'm allergic to your pets. Like
I
it
know.
is what it
And
is.
you're trying to be the good one, but you have
Yeah.
your own things. You're just like, what do you budge on? What do you compromise
Yes.
on?
And like I so many times where I would like would have roommates in LA before I got my own place where I would keep like my best dishes or my nicer things in my room, even though we had a whole house to live in,
Hmm.
because they would get broken, they wouldn't be clean, they'd be dirty, they would be misused or like lost or all of these things
Hmm.
where I'm like, I'm in a full house, but I'm still living like I'm in a college dorm because even my whatever things I value, I have to keep in my own room.
Yeah.
Like it's stupid.
Oh my God. I had another story just come to mind, but it's fine. It's like, yeah, no, maybe we'll have a part two.
Yeah, we'll do part two.
We'll do a part two. And how about you guys reach out to us with
That would
your
be
crazy
fun.
roommate stories and we can tell those
That's a
anonymously,
good
of
one.
course. Yeah. So please on our Instagram at the SOS pod, DM us your crazy and wild roommate
Yes.
stories
We're gonna
that
put
you
out
want
the
to
call.
share. Yeah. And maybe we can do like a little, like, not a poll, but like a reach out where
Yeah,
people
yeah,
can share or whatever. Just
for
DM
sure.
us and we'll say it anonymously. We'll use anonymous names and everything. Because everybody has a story, like we said. And
Mhm.
even as we're talking, like so many more was coming to mind.
Yeah.
So we got to have a part two. But thank you guys for listening. Please, again, our Instagram is at the SOS pod. Follow us. And then we're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Please subscribe to us and rate and review us. It helps
Mhm.
us reach more people. Comment, like our videos.
Yes,
Hit that like
please.
button.
Share our reels on Instagram
Yeah.
and all that because that also helps.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Patreon
Mm-hmm.
if you want to become a member and join the fam. Yeah, I'm Molly Cottrell,
I'm Melissa Rosano.
and here's the Turning Meltdown.
It's a magic.